Good evening, everybody. Welcome to round 10 and a return to broadcasting of Virtual Formula Universe's Formula One racing activities. We are live here at Monza during the 1993 Italian Grand Prix. It is our, I believe, sixth season of competition, and there is a title fight with 2 rounds to go between Williams' Jules Bouchard and Lewis Wedding's McLaren. A very heated contest, though the Williams could have advantage here with its superior active suspension chassis versus the McLaren, as well as its superior power. There was some controversy during qualifying with disqualification of the Tyrrell for detected ABS, similar to the disqualification of the Minardi back early in the season in Monaco. So already there's drama taking place on the track. We are coming to the conclusion of warm-up very shortly, and soon we will go through the formation lap and get this Grand Prix underway. And we are back. A few small issues with the broadcasting graphics package, but it's nothing that hasn't stopped us before. It's been a while since we've gone to broadcasting. I forgot to introduce myself actually. I'm a former driver and admin of this series, Matthew Sivignoni. I'm commentating the play-by-play from today. So on pole we have Nicholas Kirsten, the super sub for Williams, who has won in almost every appearance that he's had in that car. Then our title protagonist number 1, Lewis Wedding, currently leading the championship with a gap of 2 points, I believe. Third is Jules Bouchard, just behind Lewis in the championship battle. Fourth is Ronan Griffin for Benetton. Fifth is Lewis Burton for Ligier. Sixth is Alexei Zverev out for the Tifosi today with Karol Ostrolek. Owen Potter, 8th. 9th, Yoni Kovisto. Evgeny Sidorenko, Russian debutant, first season in VFU, or second season in VFU. 11th, Grayson Wilson from Williams from America. Nick, locking out the American 11-12 front row of the grid. Nick Holliday back in VFU. Larousse's Zach Brown and Alberto Sartori. We won't get through everybody, unfortunately, as the lights go out and the Italian Grand Prix is underway. Jules Bouchard seems to get a good start, and the Williams are side by side. He cuts off Lewis Wedding, so already getting the job done on his title contender as Lewis hits Nicholas Kirsten, and he's in the barrier. And there's massive lag from that collision. Unbelievable. There could be a race start if the admins deem it so. I'll go back through the missing drivers from my formation lap walkthrough. So Yoni Kovisto and Evgeny Sidorenko from Russia for Lotus. Yeah, German Korolev. Owen Potter with a bad start. He's fallen back 2 positions. Luigi Bruno from Italy. For footwork, up 4 positions. Grayson for Jordan, the American. He's fallen 1 position back. Alberto Sartori, 13th. For Larousse. Another Italian on the grid. Nick Holliday dropped back 2 positions. American driving for Turo. And Alexis Core having her debut season as we have another off. It's Grayson, whose Grand Prix is also now over. I can't believe it. That is utter carnage. 2 big incidents there. Zach Brown from Australia in his debut season for Larousse as well, in front of, or behind Alexis Core. Apologies, that is a lot of drama in the first lap to keep up with. So driving for Minardi from Germany is Alexis Core. So there's a lot of lag. I believe it'll settle down as the race goes by. But there will definitely be stern words, certainly for what just took place. Seems now the front is settling down a little bit. So, and there you can see the remains of Grayson Williams. I'm just hoping none of them are going off the track. Yeah, we've had some server issues with lag and debris of parts, so it won't be as bad on the driver end, but it's not great for the spectators. Although it should settle within the next couple of laps or so I do apologize for that. But as we can see, at the moment, it's Jules Bouchard leading Lewis Wedding, or Lewis von Wedenkind as his pseudonym goes. Alexis Zverev 3rd, Karol Ostrolek 4th, 5th is Ronan Griffin, 6th is Rhys Burton, 7th is Evgeny Sidorenko, 8th is Potter, who is now charged up from the positions he's lost. Behind him is Yoni Kovisto. He following that is Luigi Bruno and German Korev. Nick Holliday in 12th, 13th, Core, and 14th. And last is Zach Brown, who has spun off. Cooked it at the chicane. I think he's gotten righted again and is going. He seems to be okay. I didn't think there was any damage from that spin. And then we have Alberto Satori, who is also out of the Grand Prix. Grayson Williams, who had his accident. Let's see if there's any damage on Alberto's car. No, so it could have been engine failure. Grayson, 16th, retired out of the race with a big crash. And Nicholas, who was hit by Lewis on the start. So, extremely interesting things going on for the championship. I don't know if that incident is going to result in a grid drop or anything. Although there could be a complete race restart, judging from the amount of lag the drivers are suffering from at the minute. It seems to be coming back a little bit. Hopefully into the new year, with some changes to the server side, there will be improved quality of netcode. And I am receiving word now that the race may be stopped due to the lag incident. I believe one of the owners, the admins, have pulled over and is going to call the red flag. We'll see how this develops, because I don't see any cars on track at all anymore, including race leader Jules Bouchard. So I believe there will be a restart shortly. Stay tuned. So the race has indeed been red flagged, and all competitors will be able to restart due to the lag that was caused from multi um, car incidents across the track. So all those DNFs will be thankfully null and void, probably especially for Nicholas Kirsten, who probably wanted to have a great result in the Williams. So shortly we'll be getting going again as soon as all competitors are ready to re-enter the server. Some checks will be done, I'm assured, server side for gridding purposes and all that technical jazz. And hopefully then the second start will be a little bit more smoother. So shouldn't be too long of a wait now, but it was unfortunate that that got to start the way it did. But thankfully now we'll have more cars racing on track instead of less. And we are back. So, after some lengthy discussions in the administration booth and getting the drivers reorganized, we are back again for the beginning of the Italian Grand Prix. Everyone prior to the red flag can take the start. I think we have a few people in the box who will be starting from the pit lane with their own issues. So, on pole, Nicholas Kirsten. Championship protagonist number one, Ludwig von Wedenkant, or Lewis Wedding as more people know him. Jules Bouchard third, second championship protagonist. Fourth, Ronan Griffin. Fifth, Lewis Reese Burton. Sixth, Ferrari uh, number one driver, I would say, Alexei Spirichev, and number two driver, Karel Ostrolek, out for the Tifosi today. Eighth is Owen Potter, the British man in a French car. Ninth is the Finnish Joni Koivisto, starting for Lotus. 10th is the Russian Evgeny Sidorenko in his second season of competition in Lotus. Grayson Williams, 11th for Jordan. 12th, having some issues getting into his grading space, is Nick Holliday. But it seems he's okay. Then we have the Larousses of Alberto Sartori and Zach Brown at the back. Starting in the pit lane is the Footworks and the Minardis. So the race gets going once again. Jules Bouchard re-performs his early overtake, although just barely making it stick as Lewis is cut off strongly by the Canadian. Now going around Curva Grande towards the Retfilios. It's a clean start, no drama so far. Spirichev up 2 positions, so a great start for him. Lewis Reese Burton, and a little bit of contact from Karel Ostrolek. Rear wing into front wing. Or the other way around, I should say. But it seems like it didn't end in tears. Meanwhile, Owen Potter dropped 2 positions down in the leisure. He's now 10th. 11th, Zach Brown. He's up 2 positions. 12th, Alberto Sartori. He's a little bit off. A little bit of an excursion there as the Tyrrell gets by safely enough. 14th now is Grayson Williams, so he had a horrific start. Then you have the Footwork and the Minardis who have now come out of the pits. So, it seems clean enough, and this Grand Prix is underway. As you see the Williams trying to escape the McLaren there. Those are the those are the battlers for the championship. Nicholas Kirsten, super sub, has won almost every time he's driven for the Williams team. He's also driven for Ferrari once. Now they're nose to tail, so hopefully there's nothing that ends in tears. Very close racing between these two. Jules Bouchard was absent in Hungary, which allowed Lewis to get footholding on the points. An incident in the German Grand Prix promoted Bouchard from 3rd to 2nd, which allowed him to improve his points total. And now those 3 are starting to pull away from the rest of the grid as Ferraris and Benettons trickle through, followed by double Lotus and double Ligier. So server lag, not so bad of a problem, just about upholding. And a lot of action here as Ludwig, I should say, has another look down the behind of Bouchard. Fuel load probably plays into this as the Williams is a little bit heavier than the McLaren chassis. So it's not allowing him to get away as much as he'd hoped. And Bouchard is going to have to put on an aggressive defense to do anything against Ludwig, although he's gotten by safely as Ludwig overcooks it, going into Ascari, and is not able to make it stick, so he's now fallen back, and that's going to put him outside of the tow range of the Williams, which will make it much, much harder for the Australian, or the German in pseudonym in this case, to compete. And it'll be vital points that Jules needs to stay ahead in the championship going into Suzuka and Adelaide. Things are quiet in the rest of the field. The Ferraris are putting on some excitement for their Tifosi. We should be seeing a move pretty soon enough, I'd say, from Karel Ostrolek as we go on board. Still too far away to do anything in the present moment, but that could change as the Irishman pushes his Benetton, probably going after Spirichev in the Ferrari. Now, there should be a move on here, although we do know that the Benetton has the active suspension ride height adjustment, so that DRS is going to be very useful for Ronan to stay away from the Ferrari. But that Ferrari has a beefy engine and it's making use of it. Only 6 gears, not 7 that we've seen in Ferrari before. Oh, Carroll barely saves the car from catastrophe clattering into Ronan's rear. Let's check up with the top 3. Yep, that gap is persisting between Ludwig and Jules. Carroll just about avoiding disaster behind the Benetton. Now, Owen Potter has just gotten past Joni Kovisto. So now there's going to be a battle on our hands. The Ligier does have that Renault customer engine, similar to the Williams, so it'll be using that power to gain an advantage. The active suspension of the Lotus does not have DRS in itself. So the Lotus, while having a good chassis, won't be able to compete on horsepower and overall top speed against the Ligier, but it will be able to handle quite decently. Burton might have a chance to look at getting past Joni as well. Further down the pack we have Zach Brown, Nick Holliday, Alberto Sartori, Grayson Williams, and now German Korev just passing the footwork of Bruno, and following that we have Alexis Core in the Minardi. Nicholas Kirsten looking to put on a repeat super performance, leading untouched so far in this Italian Grand Prix. And Jules Bouchard isn't seeming to get too far away from Ludwig despite the mistake. There's Carroll still trying to have a look to get by Ronan. Sidorenko all on his own in a good position. If anything happens to the top 6, he'll be taking points. Which means that there was an awful shift up, I think, between the Ligiers as they are fighting Joni Kovisto, because I believed Potter got past Joni, who was leading the 4 between the double Lotus and the double Ligier, and then there must have been a mistake between the drivers at some point which has caused Potter to fall back, Evgeny to get by. But although that may be the case. Burton manages to get by Covisto, so now these three are running 8, 9, 10. So the Ligiers will probably work together to stay in each other's tow and ultimately improve their position and get themselves in a chance to get points. And as we see now, back here, it's Zach Brown versus Nick Holliday, as Nick Holliday looks to get in the tow, gets a run. Will he have enough? And he will have enough. It's an excellent pass into the Parabolica for 11th position. So that's an ongoing battle, which is very entertaining right there. The American performing a great move on the Australian. Zach Brown seems to be staying out of the tow rather than in it. Maybe he has overspeed on his downforce configuration. It could be the case. Seems to be keeping up with Nick in the corners. We'll come back to that fight at a later time in the race. Lap 7 of 27, so 20 laps to go. Should be seeing pit cycle by around lap 14. Let's check up on the title contenders. And Lewis, excuse me, Ludwig has caught up to Jules Bouchard. So his pure track pace alone is going to be enough to fight for second place here, which is crucial. As the fuel comes down, I reckon he'll be putting some extremely fast laps later on. Jules is doing everything to keep Ludwig out of the tow, and I'm sure he's using that DRS to the fullest, as is Ludwig. Now, surprisingly enough, I expected Carroll to be able to overtake Ronan, but Ronan is actually coming up to Alexei and is going to attempt a move. He has DRS open and he flies by, but Alexei is later on the brakes and maintains that fourth position. I believe Ferrari is ahead of Benetton in the constructors. Moises Pereira, the second Benetton driver, is not present here in Monza, so it'll be very important that Ronan puts on a good result. Ronan is a less aggressive driver than you'd normally see on the VFU grid, so if it'll be any move from him, from the Irishman, it'll be in the straights, and I'm reckoning he's just going to sit and wait, use that DRS. DRS is now on. Can see the Ferrari struggling to get to that 320 range. Meanwhile, we'll look at the onboard of the Benetton, and we can definitely see that the Benetton will have superior lack of downforce, more like less drag, and it'll get to that 320 range easily, 325, 330, 340 almost. So the Benetton is in a great position to overtake this Ferrari. We'll see if he makes a move. You can hear the traction control going off as he exits the Parabolica, and massive overspeed as he's in the draft. Gets around, it's nothing for the Benetton, almost 340 kilometers per hour, and he's through like it was nothing. So now the Ferraris are technologically inferior, and the Tifosi will not be happy to see that. Meanwhile, Kirsten still leads. Zach Brown has left, so I believe there was a retirement at some point from the Australian. He must have had an accident or an engine failure. Ludwig still battling Jules. The Ligiers now have dropped away from Evgeny Sidorenko, who is on a blistering pace, now gapping both of the cars by 4 seconds. So it is indeed possible for the Ligiers to outpace the Lotuses to outpace the Ligiers, since some tweaks to the mod that were changed from the turnover between Hockenheim and Monza. There was a patch, I believe, in Hungary. Now, seems to be a kerfuffle between the Ligiers because they are probably trying to decide which of them are faster, and I think Owen Potter may have held up his teammate there a bit if he is faster, because he's been pushed back into the Lotus of Yoni at this very point in time. We saw the Tyrrell of Nick Holliday 11th. He's going through the Parabolica now, followed by Alberto 2 positions up in the Larousse, a lonely race. Meanwhile, Grayson Williams has had an excursion. He is far back and now about to be lapped by the Williams of Nicholas Kirsten for the first time this race, with 9 laps elapsed. German is up 2 positions. Luigi is locked in a battle for 15th against Alexis Cora. Let's see if Alexis can get a move on. And whoa, a big weave from Luigi. I'm sure that will be disliked by the stewards if it's reported. Although Luigi does go off in the Ascari section and allows Alexis through. So that battle ended quickly. Now, there's some development with the Benetton, because I believe the Benetton was in front of Alexis Spirichev and now is behind Alexis Spirichev, and Carol is now getting through in the Parabolica, so there must be a problem for Ronan, an issue with the car some way, somehow. There's some pit lane activity. It is Grayson. Grayson seems to be pitting early, most likely due to a mistake. And we can see Zach Brown had an accident. As you see, he's missing a nose cone and a wheel. So that's the reason of his retirement. Now Korev being hotly chased by the championship battle. He pulls over, and it's very good blue flag behavior from him. Let's catch up with that battle for P2. Because this is, technically it's not the race win, but it is for the championship. Alberto now, the Larousse, is out of the race. Let's see what happened. Could have been some type of failure. Don't see any damage there in the moment. There's Carol now embroiled in a battle with the Benetton. Benetton will hold the position due to its superior top speed and DRS. Ludwig still chasing down Jules Bouchard, and this plays right into the hands of Nicholas Kirsten, who will have a lazy Saturday drive rather than Sunday drive. Bouchard fighting for his championship rather determinedly. Now, a mistake into the chicane means that Ludwig is right under that rear wing of the Williams. There could be a move on. Not quite yet. The Williams just barely has enough horsepower to keep the McLaren at bay. It's an excellent battle and a great demonstration between the top drivers in this season. Bouchard seems to have less downforce than Ludwig, as he struggled in that section, but he pulls away rather briskly in the straights. 337 top speed from the McLaren there. Let's have a look at the top speed from the Williams as we adjust the camera down and have a peek if we can see the number. That looks like 330 from the Williams. And it looks like Ludwig got a great run in the Parabolica. Maybe now, with combination of the draft and the DRS, he'll be able to get by. It looks like he'll be able to get by. Jules moves over into the middle of the road to defend hard. And that is yet another attempt that's been thwarted. So this is an extremely entertaining battle. The Ligiers have managed to pull away from one of the Lotuses and is now closing in on Evgeny, whose 3-second gap has dropped down to 1.2 and closing 1.1. So the Ligiers have sorted themselves out and they are definitely getting going. Holiday still in 11th, German 12th, 13th Alexis Cornell, up 4 positions since those retirements, and last but not least is Luigi Bruno. Williams is still in the pit, so I think it'll be a retirement from the American with a lot of issues in that car. Still, let's watch the most important battle of the day between Ludwig and Jules. And Ludwig has the inside, it's wheel to wheel stuff here out of the Parabolica, and Jules just barely holds on. Ludwig right in the draft again. Something's got to give. Either Ludwig's going to get by or these two are going to collide. Hopefully it's just the former rather than the latter. And Ludwig has a look and he's cut off strongly by Jules, who almost sends Ludwig into a spin. I don't know if there was contact, but it looked rather tough driving from the Williams. That could be reported. There's the Jordan of, I want to say, Yoni. No, that's the Lotus driver. The Jordan of, maybe Grayson's back going again. I don't think there was a second Jordan. Grayson must be back on the track again. The Leisures have scheduled a pit stop for Burton. Evgeny is out, so lap 14, as predicted, would have a lot of cars come in for their scheduled stops. There's the Tyrrell stopping. Let's find the... Yes, so the Jordan is back on track and is about to be lapped by these two coming up behind them. In my opinion, Kyson, I would think that perhaps Spa produced a lot of quality racing in VFU history. And Owen Potter's out of the race. What's happened? Owen Potter seems to have had an off. I don't know why. Carroll is holding 6th position. Yoni is now preparing for their stop. Into the pits goes Yoni. Evgeny, who completed his stop the lap prior, will inherit P8. So what's happened? Let's see. Let's find Owen Potter. Judging by the dirty tires, he's gone off and hit something. And a wheel there indicates to me something has gone very wrong for somebody. And I think that somebody was Owen Potter. No, it was Luigi Bruno, so attrition is beginning. Attrition is beginning. That is Luigi Bruno. But right now I must stay with Ludwig. And, oh, Ludwig finally gets by. But there's a pit cycle that will be coming up for these two. Ludwig gets wide to make sure that Williams can't get in the tow. And perhaps Ludwig will begin to pull away now. Although Jules really puts the hammer down in terms of top speed, getting that DRS open. Although he did not have the chance to get by. I'll have to stick with these two. It's too important to see what happens to these guys. Jules should note that even if Ludwig is faster than him, he can just come away with 3rd place and maintain the championship fight going into Suzuka. And not risk anything too dangerous. Although Ludwig really pulled away there in that section. Now coming towards Ascari, he's pulled away already a second. Perhaps the setup is not being kind to the Williams on worn tyres more than the McLaren is. Although Nicholas is still far and away the quickest driver on track. Had he had been there from the beginning, we could have had a very different championship. So Grayson 15th, 14th is Luigi, who will be lapped a few times to then be the latest retirement. 13th Owen Potter, same story. 12th Alexis Korn, now up 5 positions from the start. His Minardi teammate not far away up the road. 11th now for the Russian driver. 10th is now Nick Holliday, after those retirements. Ninth, Lewis Reese Burton. He's dropped back quite a bit. The Lotuses are now together. There is no Owen Potter to contest these two. So these two will work together to get far away from that Ligier and hopefully maybe catch up if the Ferrari has problems. Ronan Griffin now planning to come in, not too far away from the Ferrari of Alexis Spirichev. Let's look at his tyres. He's not come in. They are definitely quite torn up. Jules Bouchard now planning to stop. Ludwig still not yet ready to come in. So perhaps Jules will try and perform an undercut, an undercut on the driver of the McLaren you see in front of your screens right now. Nicholas is finally in. It's a great stop, and he's in and out before Ludwig even has a chance to attempt for the position. There is Jules Bouchard now in. So Ludwig will probably be contemplating a stop within the next 2 laps, because Jules is out very quickly. The Williams team very good on their pit crew work today. And I think there will be not much of a fight between Spirichev and the Williams, as the Ferrari is still on old tyres. Griffin out rather quickly. Carroll's still on old tyres, so that will be also a stop that will take place soon. I believe both of the Lotuses have pitted, so there'll be no loss in track position for them. 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix. So it looks like there's something that has happened to Owen Potter where he could have collided with a car that was already stricken off track. Probably gone straight to the steward's office to debate that. Let's check what's happening in the pit stall. And yes, Ludwig is in. Let's see if he gets out before... He will get out before the Williams, with plenty of room to spare. Eight laps to go for the top cars. Spirichev seems to be trying to take his compound as long as possible. We can see the fresh, shiny sheen of brand new tyres versus the old, worn tyres of Spirichev as he's overtaken. The Ferraris definitely need to box at some point. Strategy may be very different. Trying to make the best of their car in a long stint. But this is going to play into the hands of the Benetton, who is on fresh rubber, for Ronan Griffin, who is in the points. Evgeny crossed up a little bit, but he's still going. Lotuses are going fine. Ligier is looming in the background. I think the Ligier could be on a fresh compound of softs as well. Definitely the Lotuses are, as we saw them stop. Burton is closing in. Nick Holliday is being lapped at the moment by Kirsten, the leader of this Grand Prix. And German and Alexis Kors still going very well, as Burton seems to have gone off. So that's going to put a real dent in any chance for him to catch up to the Lotuses. Grayson is still in this Grand Prix despite troubles in the pit box. And there's Owen Potter in his garage, the latest retirement. So Bouchard is third, and I think he'll concede that position, but he does have only a 2.8 second gap to the McLaren. He could push at the risk of going off and ending his race. He could push and go for second and get crucial chances in the championship fight going into Suzuka. There's only 7 laps to go. It's been a very entertaining Grand Prix so far. Now Now, cars are all quite well spaced out after the pit cycle, so there is not much action. There are cars as low down as lap 16 in this race. Lap 16, 19, 20 for some. I'm wondering when those Ferraris plan on coming in. I don't think the tires will go to the end. Maybe they stopped and I didn't see it. Perhaps they have stopped. Very well played from the Ferraris to coordinate their pit stops in that case. Gap is increasing now for the Williams to the McLaren. So it looks like Jules will concede and keep third and perhaps challenge in Suzuka. Osterlich going by. The Jordan of Williams being lapped by Ronan shortly. No real battles on track at the moment. Burton making too many mistakes at the moment. It seemed to be able to catch up with the Lotuses, who are running in formation pretty well. Tyrrell definitely far away from the Minardis, over a minute and 30 seconds. A lap's worth, essentially. And there's late race drama. Covisto is off with no wings, turning that Lotus into a Formula Ford. Will she try to get it back to the box in one piece and finish this race without ending anyone else's? Slowing down a lot for Alexis Court to get by. She drives her Minardi around Yoni safely. And I think the race is over for that Lotus. Pull off and call it before you cause calamity. Staying as far away from the Williams lapping as possible. This plays well into the hands of Lewis Reese Burton in the Leisure, who will now be motivated to go after Evgeny Sidorenko. Let's find Yoni. Yoni somehow makes it into the box, but definitely will be staying there till the end of the race. A lot of repairs to conduct. Meanwhile, just a handful of laps to go. Nicholas Kirsten leading a perfect Italian Grand Prix. The German has just been sublime this season, and there'll be massive discussion as to whether he can take a full-time seat in the oncoming championships for VFU. And we are definitely witnessing someone who is more than capable of winning titles here. Now, that being said, Yoni Covisto has indeed retired. Obviously, the damage to repair is too great, meaning the Tyrrell of Nick Holliday is now in the single-digit positions. And it means German will be able to go to 10th. Alexis will be able to go to 11th, which means she has bettered 6 cars faster than her today. Great result for the Minardis, constructors-wise. And Grayson will somewhat recover his race, going to 12th when Yoni is lapped twice for him. Let's go back to the leading pack as there's a Tyrrell off, and so is Bouchard. No drama, hopefully. But there is a wheel, so someone else has had an accident. find out who that someone is. May have been someone who left this Grand Prix a while ago, and that wheel has just not been cleared by marshals for some reason. I wonder how that happened. There's no other parts on track, it's just that wheel. Spirichev and Karel Ostrolek in 4-5 formation. That'll be a good day out for the Tifosi, although they always are hungry for a win. Salvatore Sirignano, perhaps a driver who could have won this race, another Italian homegrown driver, like Alberto Sartori. I apologize if I am mispronouncing that, but in his McLaren, he could have possibly had the chance to win this race. I do know that he has a newborn in his life, now a father of a very healthy and perhaps maybe perturbed son, who is now realizing that he must too be a Ferrari fan in the current times where Ferrari isn't doing so great. Besides that, Nicholas is looking like he's going to win an undisturbed Italian Grand Prix with only 2 laps left to go. The Minardis running comfortably. Jules in the distance of that McLaren. And there's the Tyrrell. Ferrari coming up behind the Tyrrell to lap. They'll be 4th and 5th respectively. So a protest has come. In. I am just receiving word that what may have happened to Owen Potter is that Luigi Bruno, when they had an accident, tried to re-enter the circuit, and Potter could not avoid causing a collision. So that'll be a really, really slam dunk penalty if that's the case for the Stewarts. Now, second to last lap for the Williams of Kirsten. There's some traffic ahead for Ludwig, but I don't think it'll be much of an issue for the McLaren driver. As he approaches the double Minardi. Should be a DRS and just fly-by affair. The high technology of the McLaren far surpassing those Minardis, but they are plucky, they are determined, those Minardis, and they are doing well. Final lap now for our German Nicholas Kirsten, followed by Ludwig, Bouchard, Alexei. Where is... Oh, we have a big battle on our hands. Now Ronan has decided to wait until the ultimate moment to take 5th away from Carol. A last lap battle. Plenty of drama. So there's no shortage of entertainment here. And it looks like he's going to try his very best to speed away as he goes off. And he gives up the position. How did that possibly happen? That's a strange corner to have such a mistake. And I'm sure he'll be kicking himself for giving up 5th like that. But he could have given up points entirely, because if he goes off and Burton is on the lead lap, he could have taken points in his leisure. And he has gotten by the Lotus that is now having major issues. So Evgeny loses his 7th position. And Nicholas is winner of this Grand Prix. Second is Ludwig, who's gone back to the pit box. Third is Jules. Fourth is Spirichev. Fifth is Carroll, who just about survived that 5th position from an attack by Ronan Griffin that was thwarted by himself in the closing stage of the race, unfortunately. Now, there is the Leisure to finish and the Lotus to finish. Nick has crossed the line. German is done. Alexis is done. Grayson somehow staying in this fight, only finishing 1 position down from his starting position, despite a lot of mechanical gremlins, I assume. I believe everyone has crossed the line and is on their cooldown laps. So let's just wrap this up. Your Grand Prix winner, Nicholas Kirsten, with a brilliant first to last lap win, no issues. Followed by Ludwig von Wedenkind, Jules Bouchard, Alexei Spirichev, Karol Ostrolek, Ronan Griffin, Lewis Rees-Burton, Evgeny Sidorenko, Nick Holliday, and German Korev, and finally, last but not least, Alexis Kor. So that about wraps up the Italian Grand Prix live at round 10 here in Virtual Formula Universe. I've been your commentator, Matthew Savignoni. It's been a turbulent Grand Prix, but a good Grand Prix nonetheless, and I will see you in Suzuka for the next one. Good night.